Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Ahmed Al-Gheri teaching Mega Goal 5, Unit 6. Unit 6. Today's lesson is about writing. So you know that writing is one of the important skills. It's called a productive skill. If you are good at reading, definitely you are going to be good at writing. Why? Because in reading you will pay attention to 5 skills. You will pay attention to vocabulary, to grammar, to spelling, to handwriting, and to punctuation. So if you are good at these skills, you are going to be good at them in writing. In income skill, reading. The outcome skill is writing. So also writing has a very important rules also. Has very important rules. These rules are organizing ideas, how to organize your ideas. Usually you write your writing in a paragraph, or sometimes you write it in an essay. The essay contains more than one paragraph. And we have explained that before, but today we will emphasize more on this point, on this aspect. Okay, let's take this introduction about writing. What you are going to read about and what you are going to write about. Now look at these photos. You can see here a man or 2 men talking to each other. Are they from the same origin? Are they from the same country, same nationality? Definitely no, because they look different. They are different nationalities. So the question now, how do they communicate? How do they communicate? They can communicate in different ways. They can communicate in verbal language, which is speaking and writing, reading and listening. All these skills are means of communications. We call it verbal communication. But you know, verbal communication is not the only means of communication. It has many different means. Thank you. It has many different means of communications. Okay, now look at this picture, the other one. This picture looks that the 3 people here, the 3 persons are from the same origin, from the same country. Look at them. So how do they communicate? They communicate verbally using the same language, but in here they can't use the same languages because sometimes they don't speak it. The origin of or the native language of each one of them is different than the other. So the international language, the international communication language in the world now, the first one is English. So they might speak in English, and here they speak Arabic because they are from the same origin. Okay, now let's read the instructions here. Or let's read the introduction or the brainstorming before reading. How do we communicate? How? We communicate through verbal means of communication, which is a language, and sometimes we communicate through other means. Language is not the only means of communication. There is something called body language, okay? Expressions of facial expressions, language. So we have many different ways. We will talk about it in reading, and later on we're going to write about it. Okay, do we mostly communicate through verbal or non-verbal language? Now I'm waiting for your answer to check your stereotype or to your ideas before we go to the reading. And here I think everybody thinks that the main ways of communication, or the main way of communication, is verbal language, speaking, listening, reading and writing. But you will find out after reading that it is not the right thing. It's not right. You will be astonished by the result of the study that we are going to read in 6 paragraphs after a while. Okay, number 2, try to communicating these to your partner without speaking. Now you are staying at home with your family members, and you can communicate with your family members and through these things. Can I have your pen, please? You can say you communicate without a language, without speaking. You can convey the meaning or not. I think it's very easy to convey the meaning to your friend or to your parents or to your brothers or sisters. Okay, it is very easy. How can you say it? I will make it in gestures. Okay, this is the meaning of this word. Okay, you can convey the meaning without speaking. So it is not. It is conveyed in not in a non-verbal language or non-verbal communication. Okay, number 2. Are you going to call me after school? Can you convey this in gestures and in body language? Yes, it is very easy. You can do it now by yourself or to your father or to your member of family, and it is going to be easy for you to convey this meaning. Number 3, how to convey the meaning without speaking. Number 3, I went shopping yesterday. How can you convey it? You can do it yourself and try it, and we will see how you convey it. Number 3, now write, this is a game, and it is a very good game to play it with your family, especially these days. You say, now write 2 of your own messages on a piece of paper. You write something on a piece of paper, fold it, hide it, and set it inside or give it to your teacher. So now you are not meeting your teacher, unfortunately, but you are at home with your family. Use non-verbal language to communicate your message. Okay, check how successful you were. After you convey the meaning, let the one you made the gestures to unfold the message and check if you could convey it or not. Believe me, this is a very good game to try it with your family. Number 4, a picture is worth 1,000 words. What does this mean? Here he wants you to explain. What does this phrase or this sentence mean? A picture is worth 1,000 words. This means that the picture can convey a meaning more than words. So there is another saying which says, action speaks louder than words. It is a very similar proverb to this one. Because sometimes when you show something to others, like a picture, you can convey the meaning more than if you can describe it for, let's say, 10 or 15 minutes. One picture can convey the meaning better than words. So action speaks louder than words. This is another explanation to this part. Number 5, read the text and find out. Now we will go to the text and we will find out something. The main thesis statement. What is the thesis statement? Thesis statement is very important part in the reading passage which convey the whole meaning of the sentence. Okay, so we call it the thesis statement. Number 2, the supporting paragraphs. As I told you before, when you are reading, when you are writing, you will need to divide your writing into sections. We call it paragraphs, and each paragraph has a different role than others. Like the first paragraph, which is the most important one, is an introduction. You make an introductory to the whole paragraph. So in the first paragraph, you convey the meaning that you are going to say to your readers. And the second paragraph, the third paragraph, until the one before the last one, we call them supporting paragraphs. Supporting. They support the main idea which you started in the first paragraph. Okay, and the last paragraph we call it the conclusion, where you conclude your idea and you finish your writing. The argument used. Okay, so this is the one part of also writing. Now, here we have a reading passage. Verbal and non-verbal communication. Verbal means words, speaking. Non-verbal means other means of communication, not only words, different than words. So they are means of communication. So we will talk about language and other means of communication. So what is a language? A language is a means, or it is an arbitrary means of communication. But you will find out here that it is not the only means of communication. So let me introduce these paragraphs to you very quickly now. Okay, and as I told you before, now you are going to read 6 paragraphs. If you see here, this is the introductory and this is the conclusion of this reading. Paragraph number 2 is dealing with another subject or another topic. The third one is different. The fourth one is different as well. The fifth is different. And the sixth is a conclusion. So each one of them has a different idea. Okay, let me introduce to you the first paragraph. Okay, and I told you about the thesis statement. The thesis statement here. The thesis statement, you will find it in the first paragraph. I will tell you later on where this thesis statement is. What is a thesis statement? As I told you before, it is the one sentence that expresses the main idea of a research paper or essay. So the main idea is called thesis statement. Okay? Okay, so this is the thesis statement. We call it the thesis statement. Now, let's go to paragraph number 1 now. What is paragraph number 1 is about? Paragraph number 1, as you see here, we call it paragraph number 1 because we are going to stop at each paragraph and tell you what is it about to be sure that you can understand easily. Okay, more ways of communication other than language. So this is the main idea of this paragraph. So now you are ready to learn or to know about more ways of communications other than languages. Okay, now let's listen and read at the same time.
Page 90. 10. Writing.
Verbal and nonverbal communication. When people talk about communication, the first thing that comes to mind is words or language. Language is our primary means of communication as human beings, which sets us apart from other species. However, as studies have shown, it is not the only means of communication.
Okay, sorry.
Think about a photograph taken in the center of a town. It provides...
Okay, so now we told you that the first paragraph was about more ways of communication. Now, the second paragraph is dealing with another sentence. It is about a picture explains more than writing words. Okay, so as I told you, a picture speaks louder than words and conveys a meaning more than a word because it can tell more than verbal language. Let's hear it.
Information about the buildings, stores and services, people and cars, plants, and all kinds of details if you choose to take the time to look at it more carefully. Now try describing the picture and everything you have identified in it to your friend, or write about it. How long do you think it's going to take you? Certainly a lot longer than it takes a photo to convey the same amount of information.
Okay, so as I told you before, paragraph number 2 is about a picture and how a picture conveys a meaning more than a language. Okay, paragraph number 3, as I told you, will deal about another sentence. It is about pictures and objects speak for themselves better than words. In addition to pictures, objects also. If you show somebody an object, something concrete, that means you are telling him more than explaining in words. Okay? Now let's listen.
Suppose that you have just acquired the latest electronic gadget. Would you choose to tell your friend about it or show it to him or her? Usually, we choose to do the latter, i.e., show it to somebody and point out all the new amazing features. In other words, pictures and objects can speak for themselves more efficiently and effectively than we can through verbal language. However,
Okay, so now we talked about the objects and pictures. But in paragraph number 4, we are going to deal with something else. In some cases, verbal language is required. Although pictures and objects can convey a meaning, we need the verbal language. We need the verbal language. Okay, let's listen. Sorry.
There are situations where a different type of interaction is required. When, for example, you run into somebody you have not seen for some time. You probably want to talk about everything that has happened, ask him or her questions, and talk about people you know, and so on. This is definitely a case that requires verbal language. On a partly different note,
Okay, so verbal language is needed sometimes, as we mentioned here, in cases that you meet somebody you haven't met before for a long time. Okay, number 5, before the last, it shows the efficiency of visual communication. There is a visual communication, something called visual communications also, which is needed and which is more efficient than other means of communication. Let's listen.
you see a friend you have not seen for some time at a distance. For example, different escalators at the airport leading to different lounges. You have both checked through security and cannot go back, and you certainly don't want to start shouting across the airport building. You want to get his or her cell phone number. You probably resort to gesturing by holding your hand next to your ear and pretending to talk. You point to the phone, point to your friend, and use a hand gesture to signal what? Pointing back to the imaginary phone. Your friend signals each number by holding up the appropriate number of fingers. In other words,
Okay, so what about the last paragraph, paragraph number 6? You will see in paragraph number 6 an astonishing information or an astonishing piece of information that is 60% of human communication is carried out through nonverbal means. So you can carry out your communication to others through nonverbal language more than the verbal language, 60%. So this is very strange piece of information. We thought, okay.
although language is important and allows us to communicate facts, feelings, thoughts, experiences, and practically everything and anything that we are interested in, it is not the only way we communicate with each other. As studies have shown, about 60% of human communication is carried out through nonverbal means. For example, facial expression, gestures, or illustration. Maybe we should keep this in mind when we are at a loss for words. Our eyes and overall expression can convey what we cannot express through words.
Page 90.
Okay.
10. Writing.
Okay, now there is an exercise, very quick one, last one. Think of an Arab man or woman and a non-Arab man or woman you know personally or from TV. Think about him and or her. Think about the way these people communicate, how they communicate if they are from different parts of the world or from a different nationality or from different native languages. Research and collect information about culture-specific features of communication. Do you think they communicate in a way that typical of their culture? Write your idea in a chart. Okay, so let's fill in this one, which is taken by one of your colleagues at school. Okay, let's check. After that, we're going to write a paragraph. Now, culture-specific communications mean local. Local means here. The other one, communication features that are not culture-specific, international means. Now, the one we chose is Fahad, or what that your colleagues has chosen is Fahad. The other one is Wang Wei, Chinese. Fahad is from Saudi Arabia. Wang Wei is from China. So how can they convey the communication features? Okay, Fahad bumping noses as a way of greeting, okay, which is not like to be these days. Next one, okay, bowing 90 degrees as a greeting and way to show respect. This is their culture and how they convey greeting. And here Fahad, international, shaking hands. The last one, in Wang Wei from China, texts and phone calls, which is means of communication these days. And okay, the last one, you are asked to write a paragraph from this section, and you need to read this because we are running out of time. Thank you very much, and see you again. Goodbye.